Hi, welcome to the very first More Than Fine podcast episode. My name's Alyssa, and I am the host. So, this first episode, the name of it is What is this heck? So, I hopefully can explain that. But first, I'm going to give you a little background. I have been a social worker for 20 plus years, working with different populations, usually at-risk youth, their families, parents, teachers, students, prisoners. I worked in an adult male prison for a few years, mental health, all sorts of things. And I wanted to, I guess, branch out a little bit and maybe share some things, hopefully, that I've learned over the years and bring this all to you. So, explaining why it is called the More Than Fine podcast. In society, we have gotten really good at when someone asks us how we are, just saying, oh, I'm fine. And I think that we are not, either we don't want to share, or we feel like the person asking us is just being polite and doesn't really want to know how we're doing. And so everyone just says they're fine, right? And I heard a statistic that we are 1 in 49 trillion chances of being born when and where we're born. And knowing that we are that unique and born to the parents we're born to, the family we're born to, the country, any of those things, like the chances of that are astronomical, right? So we should always be more than fine because we are most likely here for a certain purpose. So my goal is that we will start saying we're more than fine and answer truthfully instead of just politely, and hopefully I don't know, start a movement maybe. Could be fun, right? So the name of the episode then is What is this heck? So the story behind that. My oldest daughter, when she was 3 maybe, and they're just really starting to learn how to talk and using their words and all the fun things. So her daycare at that time was an older couple, and the wife would always be like, what the heck is this? And so she picked that up, right? But she never quite got it right. And so we always thought it was just the funniest thing. And so instead of saying, what the heck is this? We all just started saying, what is this heck, in our family? So, what is this heck? This is the podcast. And so I just want to touch on a little bit about things I want to do with this podcast, my goals with this podcast. And just hoping that it will find the people it needs to find, and it will be helpful, or I don't know, just what that person might need to hear that day. So I've been thinking about doing this for a long time, and recently I just figured, why not? Just go ahead and do it, have some fun with it, see what happens, right? Along with that, I am also going to launch a coaching business, doing life coaching. I am really excited about doing that and working one-on-one with different people and meeting different people. One of the things that I am very passionate about is how to communicate with teenagers. So we'll do some podcasts on that and maybe some parenting tricks for that. It seems to be an age group that we really struggle with, and I mean, we were all teenagers at one point, so I don't know if we've just forgotten what that's like, or what it is, but it's something that I'm really passionate about, and I enjoy teaching people about that. So there's going to be a wide range of topics, and I'm hoping once this gets going, I will hear from some of you guys and maybe some things that you want to know more about, and we can explore those things together then. So I, have had many ideas, and I guess we'll see where we go with them. Some things that I've kind of discovered in my own life is adulting is hard, and a lot of times I don't know that we all enjoy it that much, even though we should. But it is hard, and in society now, I think COVID broke a lot of us. It's hard to, I think, reach out and maybe find new friends as adults. I think it's hard. Everyone got used to staying home. I think everyone got used to maybe being alone and only trusting themselves or being loyal to themselves. And so those are some of the things I am hoping to touch on, of like, how to reach out again as adults, because it's different than as kids. And sometimes, we don't necessarily, we're not wanting to go out and party, or we don't want to be on dating apps, even though that seems to be where everybody is these days. So how do you meet people in real life, I guess, is how I would put it at this point in time. So I, some other things are like, I've just kind of discovered, is putting effort in a thing anymore? I feel like we're such a society of instant gratification, and if we have to put effort into something, it's not really worth it to us, is what we think. But hopefully, we'll touch on some of that, because, usually putting effort in leads you to some of the best things in life. And so I'm hoping to do that. So, there'll be various relationship topics and different kinds of relationships you'd have in your life. I like to focus a lot on well-being. I did that a lot. I was a mental health coordinator at one point, and did a lot of work with staff, adults, with self-care kind of things. When you're in a hard, stressful situation, like at prison, nowadays at schools, as teachers and things, and it can be really difficult dealing with some of the things we deal with. And I think that as a staff member, sometimes you forget to take care of yourself. And so I am pretty passionate about doing that kind of stuff, and so I hope to share some of those things with you guys. What else? I, you know, have so many plans running around in my head. I am hoping to let people know, different experiences, share some of my life experiences and maybe how I've handled them. I tend to be pretty straightforward, pretty blunt a lot of the time. Sometimes people don't like that, but I think that comes from working with teenagers and prisoners, and if you're not, both of those populations know when you're lying, or not being completely truthful, and so it's just easier to be very straightforward and very matter of fact, and so a lot of my podcasts will most likely be that way, and that's kind of just my personality. But I also really, really like to laugh and joke around, and I'm kind of laid back that way, and so hopefully some of this will bring some laughs to people or smiles to their faces. I'm also, while I'm starting this, realizing I say a lot, so hopefully that doesn't annoy people. I guess you could turn it into some sort of game of like, how many times does she say let's eat a carrot, we're gonna be healthy here, but we'll do that. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I am hoping that a lot of these topics will resonate with people and that you will find some value in it, even if it's just a laugh for that day. I've also come to learn gratitude is very important, and so I'm hoping every episode I will have a gratitude to give you guys, for a feel good, or you guys can send them in to me and I will share them. I think it's a really important thing that a lot of people miss, or just get overwhelmed and think there is nothing good. And sometimes it's just nice to know that other people, like, you're not alone. Other people go through some of the same things. We just don't always talk about them so much. So I'm hoping, that we will have that. I'm also hoping at some point, once we get this going, to have some co-hosts on some of these topics. So we can have some, discussion, debates about things, different perspectives of things. I'm not an expert on everything, and so, if I hopefully can find someone who maybe is, if there's something that we all want to learn, and bring them on. So let's get to some of this heck after all of the background kind of stuff. I think that what I'm going to start off with is finding joy and humor in life. It's very important. And we don't do that enough, and Lord knows we all need to do it more. Especially right now. There's not always a lot, I think, to smile or laugh about in the world, but I think that we can always find something. Even if it's just to spread joy, right? I think a few years ago there was a big thing where people were always like, oh, pay it forward. And I think that was a really good thing to do. I think it was probably before COVID, right? And every once in a while you would get something. I know one time I was in a drive-through, probably Starbucks, because I love the coffee, just coffee in general, but that day I was feeling bougie, so I went to Starbucks, and I got to the window, and so the person ahead of me had paid for my drink. And, so I paid for the next person's drink. Just things like that. Even if it is just to give a random smile and hi to someone. Maybe that person needs that day and they just aren't really getting it in their life. So I think it's really important to do some of those small things. I think it's the small things that bring the most joy in life and relationships, and hopefully just kind of put some good energy out in the world, right? I am a big believer in the energy, and I think that me, myself, I am a person that is easily affected by people's energy. A lot of times they call that an empath. And as a social worker, there are weeks that are harder than others, and by the end of them, I'm completely drained because there's been too much negativity that week that I had to deal with, and I cannot go like out in the world for that weekend because I need to recoup my own energy. And so it's one of those things, like knowing that about myself. So that's some of that self-care stuff. And that helps me to, again, find the joy in the laughs for the next week. And it's one of those things. I'm also a big believer in animals. Animals are very therapeutic. We have 3 dogs at my house, and they're fantastic. One of my little ones loves to cuddle, and you will say, hey, can I have a hug? And she will lay her head on your shoulder and just lay there and let you pet her and snuggle you. And some days that's the best thing. Like, well, most days it's the best thing. So I think that that's a big thing too. If you don't have animals at home, maybe you can go volunteer at a shelter or work on a farm, on a dairy farm or whatever, feed the calves. Always a good time. But I think that laughing is one of the best medicines. It's also actually like really good exercise for you. It works out your lungs. And can raise your heartbeat enough, depending. It's kind of weird. There's some studies about that, and so it's one of those things. I think that humor can heal a lot of things, and sometimes it's one of the ways I use to draw people out if I'm having a hard time connecting, maybe with a client or someone who's been sent to me for some help. And building that rapport with people, and it's usually a pretty good icebreaker. So hopefully we'll have a lot of laughs, and I might crack myself up. I'm sorry if probably with some dad jokes, who knows. Sometimes it's just kind of weird that way. And so I think that finding the joy in anything, right? Being at the store and a baby in a stroller smiles at you, like that's one of the cutest, best things ever, and it's hard not to smile back at the baby, right? And that can fill your heart and bring you joy. I think that I have found that there's a lot of people that's all they need is to have someone notice. And it's also been one of the things, and it's been a goal more of mine in the last few months, to try and if I see someone random that I don't know, and I might really like their hair or shoes they have on or something, to say something and give them that compliment. We're really bad at taking compliments. I know I am, and they can make me uncomfortable, and that's something else I'm trying to work on, is to just accept that, because the person's not going to give you a compliment normally if they don't mean it, or if you're not really like that. I think that you know, it's nice to get the compliments of like, oh, you're pretty, or you have pretty eyes, or I like your hair, or, you know, those kinds of things. But those are things that are like just you, and you can't really change them. Like, I have blue eyes. I can't change that, I suppose, unless I get like colored contacts or something. But honestly, I kind of prefer blue eyes anyway. So, you know, it's one of those things. Um, and that's usually the compliments you get from, you know, like random people, right? Which is fine, and it still makes you feel good. I usually try and compliment people, especially if it's people I know or maybe work with, um, on the different things, like maybe a personality trait, or something that they did, or, you know, if I noticed, oh, you know, help that person without being asked. Like, that's a really cool thing to do. And a lot of times, like, I'll use that compliment with a teenager because they don't always get that stuff noticed. And actually, most of the time, they are helpful on the down low. So it's, you know, in case it doesn't look cool. But they also really like to teach you stuff as an adult. So if ever you are struggling with something, ask a teenager, especially if it's technology. Technology, I hope everyone has a teenager or 20-something-year-old that can help teach them that. Like, I'll probably need one to help me with some of this stuff, because I don't know. And like I said, it's the first one. So it'll be a good time. And I think, you know, if you guys have ideas of other things you find joy in, I also find joy in nature. I'm a big person in the grounding, right? So going outside barefoot and standing in the grass. I'm a country girl, so that's something I guess I've always done and didn't really know that that was a thing about why I was doing that. But it is helpful, and it can rejuvenate you just to, like, you know, if you're out on a hiking trail in the woods and or along the water or whatever, and it's just peaceful and quiet. And sometimes that can recharge your energy and soul and heart and mind, relax you. And sometimes that's all you need. A group of us at work were talking about on Earth Day, because it's next week, doing grounding. Hopefully it's not like freezing cold or anything. On Earth Day, we thought that might be appropriate to do it that day. So I think we'll probably do that at work, find a patch of grass and go stand out there. Hopefully it'll be warmer here in the north. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. So if you find somebody, maybe make that an Earth Day activity. Go out and ground yourself. Soak up the dirt in your feet, and enjoy it with some friends. What else should we talk about today with joy? I think that joy can also be having peace. So having that quiet time. I'm a big believer in coloring as adults. The adult coloring books can be fun because there's swear words in there. I, just as a side note now at this point, I do tend to swear a lot, and I'm sure that will come up in this podcast at some point. Kind of a hazard of, I guess, keeping it real and the different populations I worked with. It kind of can put you on their same level, but also I've heard it's a sign of intelligence. So I like to think about it that way. Maybe I make myself more intelligent, although other people would argue. But also, I guess I'm a person that can find joy from swearing. I don't know. So maybe there's that, and from sarcasm. I do tend to be sarcastic, so I'll apologize ahead for that. But hopefully we can keep this vibe good. So to end this first one, I'm going to give you some gratitude of I am very grateful today for waking up to the sunshine. It's going to be a great warm day here today. I think tomorrow it's supposed to be like cold and possibly some snowflakes because that's how things roll here in April. But today I'm going to enjoy the sunshine while I drive 4 hours away. And have some road trip music and things like that. Music also is a really good healer, and can be really important. A really good outlet sometimes for people. So I am grateful because I get to go and see my youngest child's art show today. For college and for her art degree. So I'm really excited to do that and share that with her and other members of my family, and see what she created for that. It's great watching your kids grow up, and get to do what they're passionate about. And I am very grateful that I've gotten to see that, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see what she did. She gave us little sneak peeks here and there, but not really like the whole thing together. So I'm pretty excited about that today. So hopefully you guys will have a great day. It's a Friday while I'm taping this. Pretty excited about the weekend. It has been a long week, a long stressful week, so I am ready to recharge. Unfortunately, I get to help move that same child out of her apartment, so not sure how much recharging I'll get to have, but there'll probably be some good laughs while we try and finagle things in and out of cars and doors. So that, if I get a chance, maybe I'll record some of that, but it will be, I'm sure, a good time, maybe. So thanks for joining me today. I hope that you come again, and like I said, first one, and just kind of a snippet of really what I hope to accomplish. If you are hoping to maybe look into some life coaching, or want a consultation, you can go to morethanfinepodcast.com and find my website there, and it kind of lays out some of the things I hope to accomplish with that. And I hope to see you again here on my YouTube channel. Thanks. Have a great day.